Hey there, Pursuing Freedom listeners, and thanks for being with us today. I'm smiling and glowing here because I'm already giggling with excitement about having my old friend Maria Vitale from Live Sotheby's in the Denver metro area. Maria and I met in a mastermind group years ago. I think it was probably 2013. And I was struck immediately by her authenticity, her passion to serve. Her energy is infectious. She is a little firecracker and a bundle of joy and a lot of inspiration to all real estate agents. I'm really excited to have her on the show. I'm sure you're going to leave as fired up and inspired as I always do when I'm with Maria. So Maria, with no further ado, thank you so much for joining us today. And we always like to start from the beginning. So tell us a little bit about your background. You know, when did you get into the real estate business? What's your journey looked like? Has it been easy? Has it been hard? Has it been one straight shot to the top? Or, tell us whatever backstory you've got and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's my pleasure. And Erin, I always love you. You're just, you walk in with this, you emulate all this beautiful energy. And I bet all of your listeners are so happy to hear you. I don't know if you do this every week, but thank you for having me on. It's an honor. So my story, well, okay. So I was licensed in 2004. Prior to being licensed, I was actually a TV, what's called an assignment editor, or I did a lot of undercover producing. I worked for a local station here in Denver. I then had two boys, and I realized that the TV world and raising a family was extremely difficult. So I left the world of broadcast, and I got my license, and I dabbled in it. 2007, June of 2007, I had a 2-week-old baby and a 2-year-old. And I was married at the time, and my husband literally said, I'm done. This isn't going to work for me, and decided this just wasn't a good storyline for what he envisioned his life. So I became a single mom. So if you remember
I'm sorry, did you say with a 2-week-old and a 2-year-old?
2 weeks, and they are so cute. Erin, everybody thinks their kids are cute, but mine really are. So moving forward, I had about a year to get it together, and I had no income. And so I moved in with my mom in her basement. I had no money. I had lost my family. I had lost my faith in, everything that was important to me. I am Italian. I value family. I value culture. I value, food and togetherness. Everything that I thought was a big deal didn't matter. So let me tell you, 2008 was when it shifted. So this time I had a 1-year-old, and I'm living in my mom's basement. Thank God I have a wonderful family, a great support system. But let me tell you, this basement was tiny, and babies have so much stuff. And I just remember thinking, I can't let these boys know I'm sad. And so fast forward, I took the ninja class. Ninja selling is out of, it's made by a guy out of Fort Collins. His name is Larry Kendall. And I took that class. Now, let me remind you what the market was like. It was a bank-owned market. Nobody was buying houses. And by the way, I didn't even have a house to buy or sell because I had lost it in my divorce. And so my mindset was not like, oh, yay, let me go out and sell real estate today. When you grow up, you don't set out to be a single mom and struggle financially. And I had to wrap myself around this thinking. So going back to Ninja, I took the Ninja, and the first chapter is mindset. And I thought how interesting that he stressed the mindset. So literally I took that class 3 months later. I believe I had 8 or 9 closings. Was it straight to the top? No, there was a lot of learning curves. I don't think anything is straight to the top. I tell my boys every day, pray, practice at what you do, and believe in yourself. And that was the advice I had to take. And I had to practice and practice. So I walked into a guy's office. His name is Phil Heater. And Phil and I had lunch yesterday. And he said, do you remember what you said when you walked into my office? I said, no, what did I say? He said, I'm working here. I told him, Phil, I'm going to work here. And he's like, Maria, I'm not even hiring. I'm like, perfect. Where should I put my stuff? True story. He'll vouch for it. Well, Phil Heater was the #1 bank-owned guy in Jefferson County. nationally ranked. He had 250, maybe 300 listings that year, and he was representing the seller. So he had all these buyer leads. Now remember, distressed properties. I took every single one of those, and I remember just thinking, if I could just take one of these, I will have enough to get through. And one turned into two, turned into three. And I didn't do it pushy. I did it authentic. I was very honest. A lot of people ask me, what's the secret? What's this big secret in real estate? The secret is work hard, believe in yourself, and do what's right for your client. That's it. There is no secret. So, then, in my journey, I get approached, and so I'm this bank-owned gal. Well, then I get approached by Sotheby's, and they're luxury houses, and they want me to come and be their Jefferson County, Denver Metro expert. And I'm like, I sell bank-owned homes. So I walk into these meetings with these gals who are just beautiful, and men and women. I mean, they are just dressed. And I'm like, well, I just sold an $80,000 home. And they're like, well, we have a buyer for $5 million. And my question to them was, do they realize they could buy a city for $5 million? And is the seller single, right? So fast forward, I had to rechange my mindset to it's what you believe. And honestly, it's by the grace of God that I am where I am, but I do believe it's consistency and hard working. So that was a mouthful. Wasn't that quite a bit for you?
No, that was awesome. So I have a lot of things I want to go back to on this, because you said a lot of things that are really powerful. First and foremost, I didn't have two kids when I went flat broke a year after getting my, going 100% commission. So I didn't have the challenges that you had, but I was completely out of money. And, talking about mindset, I think that if anyone's listening, and whether they have been in the business a long time or a short time, this year's been a challenging year. So there's a lot of people that are frustrated right now, or they're disappointed, or they're worried, or nervous, or stressed, or whatever. And I was talking with someone the other day, and I'd be curious to know what your advice is on how do you advise people to take the reins and take control of the mindset. What are the activities that you do to make sure that you keep your mindset in a positive state?
Good question. And this goes back to Ninja. So I remember the first task I had to do in Ninja was write 10 things I was grateful for. And I'm like, is this guy kidding me? 10 things? Well, let's see. I'm now raising my kids in a broken family. I have no money. And it was how I looked at it. I have two amazing boys that I am honored and have the pleasure to be their mom. I didn't always see it. It was how I looked at it. So when I looked at 10 things I had to be grateful for every day, God, I was so lucky that I could get up and work, that I was licensed, that I lived in the most amazing country in the world, that I was healthy, and that I had the most amazing family. So I started focusing on what I was grateful for. And that old saying of what you think about grows and it just expands. And all these great things just started coming my way. And I was grateful. I mean, I literally followed the Ninja mindset. I get up, I pray, I do 10 phone calls a day. I do 10 things I'm grateful for. And then I thought, who can I help? Instead of focusing so much about me and poor me, and because this is, if there are any single moms out there listening, or single dads as well, listen, there's life after divorce. Best thing, and you just have to keep going. And even if there's someone out there that's just listening right now and saying, you know what, how do I break into the industry? It's consistency, it's belief in yourself, and you have to move forward. What we do with the time that we have in a day is our choice. And so we have to maximize that. So we can sit down and watch TV all day, or we can literally get going and say, how can I help someone? Best thing for me was helping someone who could never help me back, and giving back to something which was private to me, that I could never get anything back. And it changed my outlook.
That's amazing. So when you talk about that belief in yourself and just moving forward, I mean, I hear a lot of strength in you, and I'm just curious, do you think that if you look back before the S hit the fan, so to speak, were you always so strong, and were you always so, confident, or do you feel that you became stronger through what you endured with that experience?
No, I was not this confident at all. Everybody has a story. You have a story. I have a story. Everybody listening to this has some kind of a story, and it's perspective. My strength, I say it over and over, comes from above. I'm so grateful to God, but it is a daily decision to say, where am I going to come from? Confidence, quite honestly, comes with time. I was pretty darn confident in the bank-owned world. When they put me in a luxury broker setting, and I'm walking into these, I remember going on tour, Erin, and walking through a home in Wash Park, which is a suburb of Denver. And I remember thinking, somebody's going to pay $1.5 million for this. And they looked at me and they're like, she's from Arvada. Like they were, which is another suburb on the other side of town.
Country bumpkin.
And I thought, what is wrong with them? They are crazy. They could buy so much. But it was perspective. And when we stay and we don't grow in this small area, wherever you are, if you want to be the best, you have to join the best, read the best books. Your pods are amazing. They always teach you something. You have to get out there and learn and grow. You cannot stay still. The one thing we know about life is there will always be change. And so we have to learn to grow and change with what is going to be dealt our way. Everybody's going to have something at one time or another, right?
Yep. Yeah, I always say this too shall pass, good and bad, this too shall pass. So if you're riding high, just know that this too can pass too, and it shall pass. And if you're having a low today, just know that this too shall pass also, and that it's constantly in motion and change. And you mentioned, that when you made that transition from working those bank-owned $80,000 deals to the luxury market, you had to retrain your mindset. So what did that look like for you in terms of, you kind of alluded to reading the books and spending time with people that are, ahead of you in the game, but what kind of activities can someone do to get themselves from thinking this is enough or this is all I'm worth to I deserve more, I'm capable of more, and I'm going to have whatever I decide I want in my life?
So, I've been privileged to go in and talk to kids that are getting ready to drop out. And the one thing I tell them is get up, look up, show up, be up, and do up. Do up means do more today than you can do yesterday. I had to play the part, quite honestly. I had to, I had to almost fake it till I make it. I had to believe. I came from a belief system that says if I sold, an $80,000 house, that would help me get through this month with maybe diapers and milk and maybe some other needs. If we come from a belief system of abundance right now, Erin, if I tell you, or that anybody listening, do not think of an elephant, big, fat, gray elephant with a pink tutu and a red hat. That's what everybody just saw. Everybody just saw that. So when I believed it and I walked it, I would go tour every single high-end listing in my neighborhood, just to walk it. I never had a buyer. It was a broker preview, but it gave me the ability and the knowledge, right? Because it's the process of gathering knowledge. But get up and go. Get up and go and be better. And even if you're not there now, because the truth is about this, there's always going to be a higher level. You can always be skinnier, faster, better in sales, smarter, kinder. But if you are just looking in the mirror and you are your own best competition, and you say, yesterday I did 5 calls, today I'm going to do 7. And tomorrow today I did a $1 million house. Tomorrow, next month, I want to do a $2 million house. There's always another level, but the competition has to come from within you, almost tunnel vision, and what you focus on grows. So I literally saw myself and visualized myself going into these high-end homes. And honestly, my book of business, I have a condo on the market right now, $195. I help everybody in the market, but that was a really tough shift because I at times felt like I was not good enough. I didn't come from these Ivy League schools. I have 2 degrees. I speak 3 languages, but I didn't have the education and definitely didn't belong to a country club. And I definitely never even been into a $5 million home ever. But I had to change my belief system. And when you believe that this world is of abundance, you attract that, like the elephant. If you believe, think about that elephant all day long, somewhere, somehow, you'll somewhere see that darn elephant. But if you believe, whatever it is you believe, you'll manifest it.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. One question I have for you, when you were really, when you just had to basically go all out, commit, and make a life for yourself and your boys, what did that look like in the beginning for any working parents out there? I think that one of the biggest challenges that we encounter is when our business starts to take off, we start to feel like we're not having enough time for other things, whether it be our health or our hobbies or our kids or our families or whatever. So was it a little bit out of whack in the beginning when you were first getting it off the ground, or did you have, support to help you with the kids when you needed to show properties at all hours, or how did you navigate that big change in your life?
Quite honestly, Erin, it was really, really hard. It was frustrating. There were nights that I cried. I had 2 babies, and I would just have to bring them along and say, boys, if you are really good, mommy will get you a candy bar when you're done. They'd have to come. My kids now walk into a house and they're like, this house has popcorn ceilings and no egress window. I mean,
That's amazing.
Well, they had to grow with me, and it was hard. And anybody who is out there and who is successful at anything will tell you, failure, you got to welcome it. You got to welcome the failure, because that's where we grow. And to say this was this easy ride, there were times I had to work through my own anger and resentment and animosity. And, I'd come up against another broker that maybe I knew was in the business for 20, 30 years and would just annihilate me in negotiations. And, you walk away even feeling worse about yourself. And then you learn. And all those times I just learned, and every hiccup and every bump I had in the road, I know was there to make me better. Anybody out there listening right now that is going through something, know that something, somewhere, somehow, good will come out of this issue. You have to move forward. As far as doing it all, there is the frustration of, oh my gosh, I've got 4 buyers and I've got the 2 kids, and not 3, 2. Okay, just to be very clear. But there's no such thing as this balance. I mean, I remember working for CNN, and my producer told me, you can have it all in this lifetime, but you can never have it all at the same time. In other words, let me break that down. You cannot be the #1 homeroom mom making, star cut peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and be the top producer in your office. You just can't do it all. You can't be a super ultra marathon runner and have all of it. But you can, at moments in your life, have this thing called harmony. And I called Larry and I'm like, I've got all this business and I'm so frustrated and I don't even know how to handle this. He said, you take it day by day and you take it step by step. And today, if your kids need you, which I'm big on family, we'll never get this time back with our family. Focus on them. Tomorrow, if these clients have entrusted you to sell their home, give them what they can. Do what you say you're going to do. Market the property. Give it the energy. But I think that instead of seeking this balance, it's harmony. In harmony, there's ups and downs, and you just got to learn to go with the flow. And I think everything kind of works itself out.
So let's talk a little bit about this, something that fascinates me, and I'm sure that our listeners are going to be just as amazed to hear this. But Maria has a successful business and also has successfully managed to work her schedule as close in alignment with her kids' school schedule as possible. So tell us a little bit about that. When did you start scaling back in the summer months when most people feel that they're going 100 miles a minute? When did that all kind of start happening?
Well, let me tell you, this wasn't initially a decision. This was, okay, I know my kids are going to be out of school on May 30th. In June, July, and August, I didn't have daycare. I couldn't afford a nanny full time. There was no way. So I had to learn to adjust to the time. So it started off as this is just the way it is. And then I started watching the numbers. Well, Colorado definitely has seasonal selling, and July 4th is not the best time to sell your home. So I fell into this. So when the kids got older and the business started just coming in, I followed the schedule. And so I do manage to take 3 a good 12 weeks, maybe more off in the summer. And now when I say I'm off, this is not like I'm checked out for 3 months in Mexico. I am still on. I work 5 to 10 days a week because you are your own CEO.
5 to 10 hours a week,
5
right?
to 10 hours. What did I say?
5 to 10 days a week. I was like, that sounds like a normal real estate agent to me.
No, 5 to 10 hours a week. Sorry, 5 to 10 hours a week. So during that 5 to 10 hours, I maximize my time. I still, the brokers that know me at the office, I go in at 9. I'm off by 2:30. I am with my kids every day after school. When they go to their sports, I go back at work certain nights. Because we can train our clients. They will treat us how we allow them to treat us. So when I set an expectation of, hey, on Thursday, it's going to be a better time for us to meet at 3 o'clock. Does that work or 4 o'clock? Does that work for you? They almost always say yes. Now, we've been in a little bit of a market where things are coming and going, and you have to go quick. So there's an exception to the rule. Again, there's no 100% balance. Sometimes you have to run out on a Saturday when you think you're having the day off and go and show that home. If it's in the best interest of the client, it is what it is. But for the most part, if we set those expectations, everybody listening right now is the CEO of their business. How are they running their business? And expectations and setting what we can and cannot do is critical, in my opinion.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I lead some business planning workshops this time of year in real estate companies and for groups of agents and whatever. And we've done 4 or 5 already for 2019 business planning. And this one question, tends to bring up quite a bit of discussion in terms of, do you know anyone that's successful in the real estate business that has boundaries? And, do you aspire to be like that person? And if not, why? And, a lot of what comes up for a lot of people is that most agents I know got into this business because they really do care about serving and taking good care of people. And I think that it becomes the hardest part of creating the boundaries is that feeling of like, well, I don't want to do them a disservice, but then you see people do it successfully. Like you've set boundaries, there's exceptions to the rule, when you need to make the exception, but for the most part, like you said, they're going to treat you how you allow them to treat you. And I think that's really, really powerful and something that a lot of people could learn from.
Well, you said the word serving, and we are servants, but there is a big difference between serving and being someone's servant. Mm-hmm. There is a big difference there. When we are always at their beck and call. A service is to provide best value and highest protocol, highest integrity to our clients. That does not mean we are their servant.
Yeah.
Very different there.
Very, very different and very powerful. Do you think there came a point that, I kind of always joke with agents I know that have been in the business a long time that, let's be real, you're not going to just go out of business. If you're someone who truly cares about helping people, there is a bit of science in our business. In other words, when your pipeline dries up, you know how to go and generate the business again. And if you're honest with yourself, the pipeline dried up because you were busy taking care of clients and you let your lead generating activities fall to the wayside or something happened in your life. And so you just have to turn it on again. You have to turn on the faucet. And I think that we're never going to like fail or go out of business. Right. So did there come a point in your career that you kind of understood that you knew your value, you knew that even if I take an oar out of the water for a few months, I'm never going to fail or go out of business for doing so. In fact, I'm going to have a better life and a better business for it. Did you sort of just kind of decide to let go? And if a client didn't appreciate that about you, it was okay that they would go find somebody different? Or do you think that it didn't actually jeopardize anything? Does that make sense? Like I kind of rambled there.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's 2 parts to that question. Number one, on did I ever feel like, there's 2 parts to that question. Yes, absolutely. There have been times around my career where I felt like this just isn't a good fit and I wish you the best. And that's okay. The first part of that question is interesting because you can learn. So when I take my 3 months off, what we do in the next 60 to 90 days, what activities we do, we'll manifest where we are in 90 days. If I
100%.
really want to fit into this holiday dress, I better be working out every day for the next 45 days. Okay. So that's how I use the word manipulate my business. Come May, I really stopped calling. I stopped prospecting. I stopped reaching out. So in June and July, I didn't have all this business. Everybody knows how to manifest business, and we manifest things every day. And it's interesting how you can make all these calls and be busy and do the 30, 60, 90 days and have parties and have note cards and have a client appreciation event, and then just kind of be so busy you don't know what's going on. You know, everybody says in real estate, if you want to get busy, plan a vacation. Have you heard that, Erin? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? Let me tell you my observation with that. That's because we are doing so much leading up to that point. We're so laser focused that this has to get done, and we are focused getting it done, that more business starts coming in. And so I think that that's super interesting, that we are so blessed that we live in this world of real estate where we can actually attract, and you attract what you are. So, you know, if you're thinking I'm a bank-owned home broker, I do bank-owned homes, you sell lower end homes. If you walk in and you say, I sell luxury homes, you most likely can get into the luxury market. But if you walk in and you say, here's why you're hiring me, to protect you, to promote you, to position you, and to really have your best personal interest at hand, you can't supersede that, Erin.
Yeah. Well, I always say that I don't remember where I read or heard this line years ago, but I think maybe in that, have you read The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind?
I don't think I have.
Talking about mindset, it's a really powerful book for money mindset, which was why I was kind of curious about how you talked about, you know, changing your mindset when you shifted from one market to another market. But basically it's this idea that I think it's in that book. He says, T. Harv Eker is the author, and he says, you can't exceed your own expectations. So for example, a lot of people go into the winter months and they say, well, I'm going to be slow. It's going to be slow. Well, if you say it's going to be slow, that's what you're going to get. You can't exceed your own expectation. If you expect it to be slow, you're not going to have the best month of your career. If you say fourth quarter is always the best quarter of my year, you can crush it in fourth quarter. I've had December be the best month of my year, probably 3 out of the 4 last years that, you know, in business. So I think that you have to decide what you're willing to expect and demand for yourself. And once you set that expectation that January is going to be the best month I've had all year, for example, then you're going to then have the path unfold on how to make that a reality. And the activities start to become in alignment with the type of activities that someone who's closing 10 units in January would be doing. Like you just start doing the activity to match what you're expecting to be the result. And so I just think that's interesting. And I never really thought about that. So when the boys go back to school, you find like a rush of different energy because you just had an amazing feed your soul summer. And now you're like so fired up. I also think there's a magnetism with attracting your business. Like when you talk about going on vacation, part of it is that you're in a positive state of mind, anticipating that break and that vacation. And when you're in a positive state of mind, you attract more of what you're seeking. It's like the gratitude bit, you know, when you're grateful and you're excited and you're happy, you're positive and you're content and all these positive things, you will attract what you're seeking more organically than if you're just grinding through.
Well, and as parents, I think we have guilt, right? There's always some level of guilt. But even if you're not a parent and you're out there and you think, well, I could have worked out more, I could have done that. When you feed that need, like you said, my cup runs over. I am so happy after August that I've spent all this time with my boys. And they both play competitive sports, so we travel quite a bit. And, you know, I travel with them. I have the honor and the blessing to be able to travel with them and be with them at all of these events. But when they're back in school, this is my time to manifest that. So August, September, October, the last 5 months of the year have always been stronger for me because, like you said, what you say and what you do is eventually going to manifest. I think our belief system, you know, chapter 1 of the Ninja Selling book talks about, are you a victim or are you a player? Which one are you? So I was a victim in my mom's basement. I was a victim. I was sad. I was angry. This is not the life that I had signed up for. I was angry. I was pissed. I was bitter. And once I started shifting that, like, okay, but I have these two amazing boys that need me, and they need the best of me, not mommy crying or sad or whatever the story was. I need to go out there. We need to play in the leaves. We need to have fun. We need to ride our bikes. And little by little, it's funny because remember when you rode a bike, it's like you got on and you did the first two pedals and you're like, okay. And then you did the second. And now you're riding down the block. And now it's no problem. Once you learn to ride a bike, it's no problem. The business is the same exact way. And once you keep doing it, it almost becomes easier and easier. It's just a matter of consistency. And going back to your original point, once you do what you feel is good for you, maybe that's running a marathon, maybe that's baking pies, maybe that's spending time with your children, maybe that's walking dogs at the shelter, whatever it is, once you have enough belief system in yourself and your mindset, then you can give to someone else. And you know what? Don't compare yourself to out there. Well, let me tell you a great story. One month I was at Sotheby's, this is about a year ago. I walked in, had 5 deals under contract. And I think it was probably like, I don't know, $3.2 million of contracts. And I was like, this is so awesome. I walked in, I've got that energy. And I looked up on our board that tracks it, and I saw 3 other brokers. One had one sale for $10 million. One had one for 7, one had one for 5. I'm like, are you kidding me? These guys have one deal and I've got 5, but it's perspective. Right? And the other thing, if anybody's listening, don't think about how big of a house can I sell? How many people can I help buy and sell? Because we all have something that we bring to the table. And so when you talk about serving and bringing value, I never could tell you, oh, I've sold so many millions, but I can tell you how many deals I've closed. And I've always tracked my business by number of units versus any other numbers. Because if you're just focused, who's the better doctor? The doctor that does 1 surgery or the doctor that does 5 in a weekend? Who's the more experienced doctor? Now, getting that $10 million listing is fantastic, but you got to keep going. You can't stop. That can't be your only designation.
Right.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, that's awesome advice. And I'm kind of the same way in terms of like units versus volume, because I feel like if you're focused on relationships, then your business can be fulfilling. If you're focused simply on the dollars, like I think the dollars and the deals should be a byproduct of the relationships, because, well, and that might not be for everybody, but for a lot of us, I think that we're fueled by that intention to serve and that feeling of giving value, and that feeds our soul. And then the dollars and cents come as a byproduct of just intending to serve. So I love it. I mean, I know that we could talk for another 7 hours here. And I also know you have a really busy day ahead of you. So I want to let you get on with it. But before we do, I'd love for you to share what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you if they're either looking to buy or sell real estate in the Denver metro area, or just want to powwow with you because they want to soak up some of your amazing energy.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you. So they can follow me on Instagram. It's Denver Realtor. Last name is Vitale. So it's Maria Vitale. And any way that I can help in any way, I'm happy to. So I'm honored to be a guest on your show. Thank you so much. I'm humbled.
It was awesome having you. It's always good to reconnect with you. And I'm really happy for all of your success and your happiness, more importantly. And I just can't wait to see what the future holds for you and those amazing boys they are very cute, just so you know.
Well, I think so. Thank you.
All right. Well, have an awesome day. And thanks everyone for listening. Have a great day. And also, this is Thanksgiving week coming up here. So I just want to say a special thanks to everyone for following along and for subscribing and supporting. And for those of you like Maria who are taking the time to share your amazing stories with us, because we can't go it alone. You never want to be an island. We're all blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing people. So I wish you all a happy, healthy Thanksgiving, and much love to all of you and your families. Have a great day.